Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. Some big music news dropping today that has caused quite a stir. A lot of people have been up my ass on social media all morning, telling me, shoving in my face, reminding me, hey Anthony, you know what? All that shit, all those theories that you made fun of about playing the new Kendrick Lamar album backwards, they're wrong. And you're wrong. And you're an idiot. And here's the article, here's the quote, here's the interview to prove it. Kendrick Lamar, Compton rapper extraordinaire, many great albums under his belt at this point, has a new interview out with MTV News where he, in fact, confirms that, and this is one of many multiple headlines saying this. This is from our friends over at Vlad TV. Shout out to DJ Vlad. Damn was in fact meant to be listened to backwards. Damn was meant to be listened to backwards. Whoa, damn. Listen, I don't sort of take headlines like this lightly, or I don't take them on their face. Of course, I had to go listen and watch the interview, and Vlad TV was great enough to sort of put quotes here. I'm sorry I don't have my microphone here. I just changed over to a new computer, and my mic doesn't plug into this one because there's no audio jack. I got to find an audio card for it, an external one, but I digress. Kendrick Lamar here says, this is what he says in the interview. Okay, he's asked a few questions in relation to playing Damn within a certain sequence, a reverse sequence. And the interviewer asked him about fans sort of listening to the album backwards and having different theories about the album. And this is what Kendrick says. I think after like a week of the album coming out, fans realize that you can listen to the album backward and it plays a full story. Kendrick revealed in a recent interview with MTV News, it's something that we definitely premeditate while we're in the studio. So he says, you play the album backward and it plays a full story. So you play the album backward, it plays a full story, and that it was premeditated. This idea, this concept, this sound, this vibe that he put into the album, he meant to put that into the album. He went even as far as to say that he felt that the vibe, the beat, the flow of the tracks were better in reverse order, something that I personally disagree with, but that's what he said. But here's the thing that Kendrick fails to say, and anybody can fail to say to me, who is sort of shoving this reverse order theory down mine and everybody else's throat. What is the story backwards that we don't get forwards? The interviewer asks him about the story of the album, the concept of the album, the themes lyrically of the album, what happens to them in reverse order that doesn't happen in sort of the sequence that they were placed onto the album in the first place. And Kendrick says, this is what he says. He says, I don't think the story necessarily changes. I think the feel changes, he added. I think the initial vibe listening to the top all the way to the bottom, this aggression and this attitude, you know, DNA, exposing who I really am. You listen from the back end, and it's almost like the duality and the contrast of the intricate Kendrick Lamar. Both of these pieces are who I am. It's in a way he almost contradicts himself there, because the album playing backwards and telling a story, but yet the story doesn't change when you play it backwards. All Kendrick can really say here definitively in this interview is that the vibe and the feel of the album changes when you play it backwards. Whoa! Whoa, stop the presses. Stop the fucking presses. You mean to tell me that 14 tracks, that 12 tracks, that 17 tracks, no matter what the amount of tracks are, you mean to tell me that 14 tracks, when you play them in reverse order, have a different feel than when you play them in the order that they were originally sequenced on the album? What? Suddenly every record that's ever been released is a double album now. What? Listen, like, if there is a reason to listen to the album backwards, you have to tell me what that reason is. Whether that be one of these theorists or Kendrick Lamar. You can't just say it, okay, and then come up with some slightly contradictory answer as to why. You can't say it tells a story, and yet the story that it tells is no different than the story that you get when you play it forwards. Like, what? That doesn't mean anything. You didn't say anything there. Like, I'll agree the vibe is different, and that the front end of the album, as far as the lyrical tone, as far as the aggression, like he noted, is different than the emotional tone of the back end of the album. And listening to it in reverse order can certainly emphasize or put a certain focus on a different vibe or a different sound or a different emotional quality of Kendrick's music. It'll certainly, put you in a different mind state. And when Kendrick talked about sort of ranking his albums from worst to best and put Damn at the top, he sort of noted that the album, the way that he sequenced the songs, wasn't super conceptual in that he allowed himself to just kind of go anywhere and do anything that he wanted, like he did on Section 80. So to me, that leads me to understand and suppose that you could play the album backwards just like you can play it forwards, because there's no major theme linking all the songs together, forcing you to listen to it in forward order. They're literally pieces of story and tracks that when you take them out of the context of Good Kid, Mad City or To Pimp a Butterfly, they don't make that much sense, and you can't put all the math together. That's not the case with Damn, and that's because the songs were sort of built with single power into almost each one of them. I just don't understand why people won't let go of this meme. It's essentially a meme. Playing the album backwards, it's a meme. And it seems like Kendrick is sort of fanning the meme flames over here with this new interview. That yes, he says, and again, this is what he says. He does not say the album was meant to be played backwards. He doesn't say you have to listen to the album backwards. He doesn't even say that the story is different when you play the album backwards. He says you can play it backwards. And certainly I will agree to the extent that the two halves of the album do have different emotional vibes, and listening to it in reverse, as I said, can emphasize and can put to the forefront of your head certain concepts and emotions that are not as prevalent at the start of the album, But the thing is, like, again, that's like with most records. How many albums are there in existence, hundreds and hundreds, that have an aggressive, punchy, all guns blazing right out of the gate intro, and then slowly grow more mellow and forlorn as they continue on, with the last track being the most thoughtful, the saddest, the most final. Like that's kind of the story of the album. There's so many albums out there like that, and not to say that that makes Damn less important or unique or good. I think it's actually a cool and very tried and true way of structuring an album, just like a verse and a chorus and a verse and a chorus is a tried and true way of structuring a song. But guys, you haven't discovered fucking fire here. Okay? It's just the same goddamn album with the tracks in reverse order. The songs don't mean anything differently, as Kendrick says in this fucking interview, when you play them backwards. Okay? The songs mean the same thing. They say the same things. There's no different story. It's not a fucking Rubik's Cube. It's the same 14 songs in reverse order, and that's it. Okay? I'm sorry, but that's what it is. Over here next to my head is another video. Check that out, or click on the link to subscribe to the channel. Or you'll probably want to hit the thumbs down if you're really pissed off by my thoughts. But honestly, that's what they are. And this is what Kendrick says. I'm not saying anything that Kendrick didn't say here, okay? I'm sorry if that's hard to deal with. Forever.